Good morning, staffers. In our last video, we talked about an amazing credit called the Work Opportunity Credit. And for some of you guys in staffing, it doesn't just mean thousands of dollars in tax credit, but it could be hundreds of thousands of tax credits. And including some of you guys that are really scaling operation, it could be millions of dollars in tax credit. And today we're going to talk about how you can implement processes in your staffing firm so that you don't miss a dime of this credit that's due to you. Let's get started. Good morning, staffers. In our last video, we talked about this amazing credit called the Work Opportunity Credit. And the Work Opportunity Credit, it is no joke. For some of you, it can mean thousands of dollars. For some of you, it could be tens of thousands of dollars. For some of you, hundreds of thousands. And some of you that are really scaling an operation, it could mean millions of dollars in tax credit. And today, we're going to talk about how to implement processes in your staffing agency so that you don't miss a dime of the credit that is due to you for the good work that you do. But before we get started, I want to make sure you don't miss a beat of the trainings that we offer. There's a little red button at the bottom of our screen that's called subscribe. Click that now, as well as the notification button. Let's get started. So staffers, in our last video, we talked a little bit about the Work Opportunity Credit and exactly what employees would qualify for you to hire in order to take this Work Opportunity Credit. And the biggest thing that we saw was, there's a targeted group. And the dollars are substantial as an incentive if you would hire this targeted group. But the main thing is they do have to work a certain amount of hours in order to qualify for the credit, which is a minimum of 120 hours. And there is no maximum for how long they work for you, but to get the maximum credit, they have to work at least 400 hours, or that equates to about 10 weeks with you if they're full time. And again, for some of these categories, the dollars are substantial. As you can see in a disabled veteran category, you can get a tax credit up to $9,600 on just one employee that stays with you for 10 weeks that qualifies as a disabled veteran. So today I want to talk about how to implement processes so that you can identify this group of employees to make sure that you maximize on your credit. And particularly, we're going to talk about processes and procedures and things like that that need to occur in order for you to capitalize on this credit. So first of all, we talked about the targeted group, and the targeted group consisted of your qualified 4A recipients, your qualified veterans, your recipients of SNAP benefits, and long-term family assistance. In our last video, we talked about the actual criteria about that, how long they had to be on that assistance before you employ them and things like that. And so this is actually coming straight from the instructions on the form 8850. And the 8850 is the form that you're going to have to complete, or your employee is going to have, potential employee is going to have to complete prior to you hiring them. And this form is actually going to be helpful for you in order to determine if they actually qualify as a member of the targeted group. And here in this example is the actual form 8850. And you can see that the 8850 is really, it's information that the applicant would fill out. And I would say before you proceed with this step, definitely check with your HR department and your legal representative to find out what the qualifications are in your state in terms of questions that you are allowed to ask. But the purpose of the Work Opportunity Credit is really for the IRS to work in conjunction with the state workforce agency, and to help give opportunities to those that probably would not normally get these opportunities. And how I normally see this is actually part of the application. So it's a page in the application that the applicant is completing, because pretty much you're going to have to identify them as a targeted group prior to extending the offer with them. And it really is, it's just your name, their social security number, where they live, and it's really asking particular questions. Could you qualify as one of these members of this group that will allow you to get a credit for this? So really they are self-certifying at this point that they would qualify for that, so that you can identify them as a targeted member and really state that that is the purpose that you are hiring them. And so what's key with that identification of the targeted group is that it really needs to happen prior to you hiring them, because it's really, the whole purpose of it is to show that you are incentivized to provide this person with an opportunity. And so with the 8850, that's something that you're going to want to have it complete probably with the application process. That way the person is being identified. by it. And really with the 8850, the whole purpose again is pre-screening to find out that the applicant is part of this targeted group. So this 8850 is completed by the potential employee, and once that person is has been hired, what you're going to do at that point is you are going to submit this 8850 after the employee has signed it and you have signed it to the state workforce agency. Now, depending on what state you're in, you're going to send it to a different location, but you're going to send it to your own state workforce agency. And your workforce agency may be different than my workforce agency because we may be in different states, but to your own state workforce agency is where this form needs to go. And that is really just the first step of getting that. And we're going to go through because there's some other things that need to be submitted with that. And so this form must be submitted to your state workforce agency no longer than 28 calendar days after you have hired this person and they are working for you. So within 28 calendar days, so if it's October 1st that you've hired this person by October 28th, this form has got to have already been sent to the state workforce agency for that person. So the reason why you're sending it to the state workforce agency is because the state workforce agency must actually approve the person, certify them as one of the targeted members. So even though in the 8850, the person's kind of self-identified themselves as being one of the target members, it's the state workforce agency that actually has to certify that, yes, that person is true, that it's correct. That person is a disabled veteran. Yes, this person has been on a long-term assistance program or been on SNAP. And so this form, to get this credit, it has to be approved. That person has to be approved by the state workforce agency here. And even then, so once they have gotten their certification, they have to work the minimum hours. And we talked about the minimum hours, at least 120 hours to claim 25% of the credit. And they need to work at least 400 hours in order to claim the maximum amount of the credit, which is 40% of their wages. And there's a maximum dollar amount that they can claim too that we discussed in the video. And you can definitely obtain that form to look up and see what that dollar amount is. So this certification from the state, again, is required in order for you to claim the credit, which we're going to talk about in the next video. So with the 8850 that you have now signed as the employer and also the employee has signed off, you're going to also submit either one of these two forms. Either the ETA form 9062, which is the conditional certification form, which they're going to get from their agency that kind of tells them, pre-qualifies that yes, they are eligible for this credit that they may submit at the time they're applying for a job. Or you're going to submit the ETA form 9061, individual characteristic form, which is the form of if someone is not previously certified that you're going to need to submit with your 8850 certification form. So you're going to submit either of these two forms in order to get that. And you can get the 9061 form from your local public employment services. So definitely you can go to this website here in order to find that. So if you go to the irs.gov and you query the instructions for Form 8850, that you will find this one and you'll have the web address to go ahead and download the form. Now, once you do fill out the 8850 and you do attach it with the 9061 or 9062 and you mail it to the state workforce agency and they certify this employee as being one of the target individuals, you must now keep the support for 3 years and of the date that you file for the credit. And this Form 8850 actually does not even go to the IRS. So it's not sent to the IRS. This is something that you have to keep on your own records. So that is the first step in terms of completing or qualifying for the Work Opportunity Credit is getting certified by the state agency, having the potential employee fill it out prior to them actually starting work or getting the offer. And now in our next video, we're going to talk about how do you claim the credit. So if this video is helpful for you, please go ahead and subscribe, and I look forward to talking to you soon.